So here's an uncomfortable fact. Wheel spacers can cause damage to your vehicle and even your own death. Let's get into it. What's going on? I'm Scott from Konig, and you have probably already stormed into the comment section and badmouthed me because I just told you this fact about spacers. But here's the inevitable fact. It is true, and it happens to people all the time. So we're going to kind of dive into some of the reasons you might use a spacer, and then going to go into the reasons that spacers usually will cause some sort of catastrophic damage. Now, I don't think we would be car enthusiasts if we didn't acknowledge that spacers exist and there's a use for them, and there can even be a very functional use for spacers. I don't think anybody's here to debate that. What we are debating is that when you do it for style or you do it for more aesthetic reasons, there could be some complications that come along with spacers. And even though they are such a simple, primitive thing, just the smallest error or just overlooking just the easiest thing during an installation could cause some pretty large problems. So let's start off with some reasons that you might actually use a spacer. First reason you would use a spacer is if you were going to essentially try to push the wheel out, effectively lowering the offset of your vehicle. Now, if you're not sure exactly what offset is, go ahead right here. We'll put the link to a video where we explain offset in depth. But when it comes down to a spacer, you're essentially going to be spacing the wheel away from the vehicle. So if you have a 35mm offset wheel and you use a 10mm spacer, you essentially will now have a 25mm offset wheel. Just keep in mind that this is actually something where you could just buy the correct wheel with the correct offset or get an offset closer to what you're aiming for, and you would not really need to use the spacer. But let's say you already have the wheels. You need to space them out. You need to get a more aggressive stance, right? That's what you're doing it. Maybe aesthetically you want the car to look a little bit more aggressive, or you want to be able to clear a brake, which brings us to the next reason you might use a spacer: extra protrusion clearance. Now, keep in mind that the spacer won't ever change the height of this wheel. So if you have a brake kit that got larger and it hits the wheel, a spacer 99.9% of the time will not help you clear that part. It just doesn't do anything. We're only going laterally, left to right. With that said, a spacer can help you. Let's say you installed a big brake kit or upgraded your brakes, and now the caliper either just touches the spoke or the back of the spoke of the wheel, or is intruding, then a spacer can actually do this. It can give you extra protrusion clearance because it's, again, spacing the wheel away from the vehicle, allowing for some extra room between the vehicle's hub and the obviously spoke of the wheel there. All right, so there's another reason that you may use a spacer, and that has to do if you modified the body of your vehicle. If you have went with a fender flare properly or a wide body kit, your wheels may now look like they're super sunken in, and now the vehicle wants to fall over. So a way to correct this would be getting the right set of wheels, but if that doesn't work out for you, or if you enter into the land where a lot of people do, which is that they buy a body kit that now, for their bolt pattern, doesn't have a wheel that's available on the market for as wide as they actually would need, or as low of an offset as they would actually need. And that's where spacers start to pop their head into these situations. So if you're trying to move the wheel outbound, again, just like we talked about in the first example, you can do that through use of spacer. That might be one of the reasons that you are looking to do this. Another reason that people would use a spacer, it's not really a spacer, it's more of an adapter, is that if you were trying to change the bolt pattern of your car, right? So that pitch circle diameter, PCD, let's say you happen to have a 5 on 100 and you're looking to possibly get a wheel, or you have to do something where you're going to 5 on 114.3, 5 on 4.5, then you could essentially use what they call an adapter. Now, an adapter is very spacer-ish like. The difference here is that an adapter would bolt on to the vehicle's hub, and that would secure to the vehicle with the bolt pattern that you have of your vehicle. So if your vehicle is a 5 on 100, you would secure it with the 5 on 100 pattern, and then there's a separate set of studs that would allow you to basically now have a 5 on 4.5 bolt pattern, where the wheel would then bolt to this 5 4.5 bolt pattern, again, if the wheel is 5 4.5. So you want to go with this? Let's talk about some of the most common reasons that spacers end up causing failures. The first one is usually coming from an improper installation. Now, when it comes down to properly installing a spacer, it's not hard, but it's really critical that you follow the steps that are required. The first thing we have to ensure is that the spacer itself is properly installed to the hub of the vehicle. That means it has to be installed flat to the hub. It means that we cannot have any obstructions, any imperfections. It must be perfectly flat to the hub before it's going to be torqued down. The next thing is you're going to need to make sure that you properly fasten and torque, according to the vehicle's specifications, this piece of aluminum or steel or whatever your spacer is going to be made out of onto the vehicle. Next, you could potentially have a spacer that's not sitting flat perfectly to the hub. Not using a hub-centric spacer often causes people a lot of aggravation. The next piece of the puzzle here is the hardware that you're using. It's got to be good quality hardware, and it can't interfere with the wheel bolting onto the spacer. And this is a problem that most people will get wrong, especially if they're kind of buying some stuff off of eBay or whatever and piecing the hardware together themselves. And that's because they're not taking into account that when you put on this spacer, there's a potential that a couple things could go wrong. One of those things is that you have hardware that protrudes. If you've ever heard of anybody that says things like, is your wheel cavity backed? Or what is a cavity back? Well, a cavity back is essentially a recess on the mounting pad in between where the lugs or the studs would actually go. Now, not every cavity back is created the same. Depths are going to change, angles are going to change, radiuses are going to change, and because of that, depending on what your bolt pattern is, the lug nuts may sit in a good space into the cavity back, and the cavity could be deep enough to fit the hardware that's protruding outside of your new spacer, or it could not be. Now, when it's not, sometimes it's really obvious and you can't get the wheel to bolt on. But there's other times that it's actually not that obvious and it looks pretty close, especially once you torque the wheel to the spacer, that everything is sitting just great. Sometimes there's enough tension there that as you drive will actually start to cause, some tension that will loosen up the hardware. And that's where that wheel starts to depart from the vehicle. So that's usually one of the most problematic things that happen during one of these installs. You can avoid it by making sure that you either buy a reputable hardware kit. You can make sure that you clearance things and check things over real well and make sure that everything's gonna fit together properly, ensuring that the wheel is flat to the spacer and the spacer is flat to the hub. However, any little step in this can easily cause you a lot of pain. So that's the reason that most of the time spacers end up into a failure. One of the most overlooked things is actually the loss of thread engagement. Now, we've done a video on thread engagement, so if you want to find out a lot more about it, you can go ahead over here and be able to view that. So why could this be such a problem? The issue is that if you put a 10mm spacer onto your vehicle and it doesn't have another set of studs that allow the wheel to adhere to those studs, what essentially is going to happen is you are taking up 10mm where the lug nut would potentially screw onto, right? So that 10mm now is not available, and then you have the thickness of the mounting pad of the wheel, and now a lug nut may only be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 turns on to this stud. If you're looking to figure out how much thread engagement you actually need, we've done a video. I'll throw it over here. I know we've kind of talked about this before. So right now, we're in a situation where if you haven't done this correctly, you're not going to have the proper clamping force or the clamping stress required to be able to keep that wheel taut to the vehicle. Let's look on to the next piece of this that we could potentially go into that kind of is correlating, and this has to do with low quality material that was used to make the spacers and the hardware. All right, so we've already alluded to this before, but the quality here really makes a difference. So when you buy a spacing kit or when you buy a spacer, make sure the quality is good, make sure the hardware is really good. These are now the things that hold the wheel onto the car. So here's one last point that potentially can cause you some pain, especially if you're going to be putting on spacers, and this usually doesn't appear until after the installation has happened and you're kind of surprised that it happened to you, and that has to do with scrub radius. So scrub radius is essentially the turning radius of a vehicle, right? So when you have a vehicle with a narrow track width, it may have a better turning radius. It may turn a little bit sharper. When you stick the wheels further out, you're going to increase that scrub radius. Means the circle that it's going to require, or the circumference, I guess, that it would require for you to be able to turn your vehicle, it's going to increase. When you increase the scrub radius because you're spacing the wheels out, you could potentially, when you turn the wheel at full lock in either direction, have the tire now meet the bumper or into the rocker. So when you have those issues, you now limit the amount that you can actually turn your vehicle. Look, these are the things that really happen to people. So I'm just telling you so that you can be properly prepared. Maybe you're an expert in this stuff, you already know, everything's gone well for you and there's no issues. And if you're one of those people, mazel tov. But if you're not, we want to make sure that you don't become one of the statistics. That's what we're here for, education. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out with us, my friends. We hope you found this useful. If you have, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. We will catch you in the next one.